Hey everyone, and a massive, warm welcome back to the channel. To every single person watching this right now, wherever you are in the world, I am sending you the biggest, most positive vibes. I truly hope you're feeling fantastic, happy, and most importantly, healthy today. Take a deep breath, relax, and get ready for a story that might just change how you look at that cheese platter forever. Now, we all love cheese, right? Whether it's a gooey slice of pizza, a sharp cheddar on a cracker, or a fancy brie at a party, cheese is one of those magical foods that makes everything better. But what if I told you that some of the most beloved, traditional, and arguably delicious cheeses in the world are completely forbidden fruit here in the United States? I'm not talking about them being frowned upon or hard to find. I'm talking about fully illegal, banned by the federal government, contraband that could get seized at the border. And the reason isn't because they taste bad or are made from weird ingredients. It's because of bacteria. The very same amazing, living, microscopic cultures that give these cheeses their incredible depth of flavor and unique character are the reason you can't buy them legally in most American supermarkets. This is a story that pits tradition against regulation, taste against safety, and explores the fascinating, sometimes controversial, world of raw milk cheese. So, grab a snack, maybe a legal cheese, and let's dive into the underground world of forbidden fromage. To understand why these cheeses are illegal, we have to start with the most important ingredient in all cheese, milk. For thousands of years, all cheese was made from what we now call raw milk, milk that came straight from the cow, sheep, or goat, unpasteurized. Pasteurization, the process of heating milk to a specific temperature to kill harmful bacteria, is a relatively modern invention. It was a monumental breakthrough for public health, drastically reducing diseases like tuberculosis, brucellosis, and listeria that could be transmitted through contaminated milk. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, plays a huge role in keeping our food supply safe. A cornerstone of their food safety policy is a law that says any cheese aged for less than 60 days must be made from pasteurized milk. This 60-day rule is the great divider, the line in the sand that determines what's legal and what's not. The science behind it is that harmful pathogens theoretically die off during a longer aging process, as the cheese loses moisture and its acidity changes. So, cheeses aged longer than 60 days, like many cheddars and parmesans, can be made from raw milk and are perfectly legal. But it's the young, fresh, moist cheeses that fall on the wrong side of this law. This is where we find our culinary outlaws. So, which famous cheeses are considered fugitives in the USA? The list is a hall of fame for cheese lovers. One of the most famous examples is the French cheese Camembert. Authentic Camembert de Normandy, with its bloomy white rind and creamy, earthy interior, is traditionally made from raw milk and aged for just a few weeks. Under U.S. law, this iconic cheese is illegal. The same goes for its cousin, true French Brie. The versions you find in most U.S. stores are pale imitations, made from pasteurized milk to comply with the law, which many connoisseurs argue strips them of their complex, nutty, and deeply funky flavors. Then there are the Italian legends. Fresh mozzarella di bufala, the incredibly soft, moist, and delicate cheese made from water buffalo milk, is traditionally a raw milk product meant to be eaten within days of being made. The stuff you get on a caprese salad here is often a much firmer, less flavorful pasteurized version. But perhaps the most infamous illegal cheese of all is Casu Marzu from Sardinia. This cheese goes beyond just using raw milk. It's actually deliberately infested with live insect larvae, cheese flies, that break down the fats and create an intensely soft, spreadable, and pungent product. The larvae are still alive and wriggling when it's eaten. For obvious reasons, this one isn't just banned for its raw milk content, but it's a prime example of traditional practices that clash violently with modern food safety regulations. The heart of the debate is a classic clash of values, absolute safety versus cultural tradition and taste. The FDA's primary concern is preventing foodborne illness. They argue that pasteurization is a critical tool for protecting the public, especially vulnerable groups like pregnant women, children, the elderly, and those with compromised immune systems. Even a single outbreak linked to raw milk cheese can have devastating consequences, so their approach is one of better safe than sorry. They believe the 60-day rule is a simple, effective way to manage this risk. On the other side of the argument are cheesemakers, importers, and gourmands. Their argument is that this rule is overly cautious and effectively bans culinary artworks that have been made safely for centuries. They point to Europe, where these raw milk cheeses are not only legal but celebrated, and where cheesemakers follow strict hygiene protocols that minimize risk without needing pasteurization. They argue that pasteurization is a blunt instrument. It may kill bad bacteria, but it also kills the good, native bacteria that are essential for developing the full, terroir-driven flavor profile of the cheese. This is why many cheese lovers say pasteurized versions of brie or camembert taste bland and one-dimensional compared to their raw milk ancestors. The heat treatment changes the protein structure of the milk, which can affect how the cheese ages and melts, ultimately creating a different, and in their view, inferior product. For the most dedicated cheese enthusiasts in America, this has created a vibrant, if secretive, underground scene. There's a whole world of cheese smuggling. People returning from trips to France or Italy have been known to try and sneak a precious wheel of real camembert or a chunk of raw milk Roquefort back in their suitcases, wrapped in clothes to hide the scent. If caught by customs agents at the airport, these cheeses are confiscated and destroyed. There's also a network of small-scale, domestic cheesemakers who sometimes operate in a gray area, pushing the boundaries of the 60-day rule or selling their raw milk creations directly to consumers at farmers' markets under state-specific laws that can sometimes be more lenient than federal rules. But for the most part, getting a taste of these forbidden cheeses is a difficult and risky endeavor. This ban also has a significant economic impact. It prevents American consumers from accessing a huge part of the world's cheese culture, and it blocks European artisans from a massive market. Some producers create special, pasteurized versions just for export to the US, but it's not the same. The passion on both sides is intense. Public health officials are dedicated to their mission of preventing illness, while foodies and traditionalists argue that we're losing a vital connection to our culinary heritage and settling for a less flavorful, homogenized food world. The science of cheese aging is incredibly complex. During those 60 days, a battle is happening on a microscopic level. The salt, acidity, and beneficial microbes in the cheese create an environment that is hostile to pathogens. As the cheese loses moisture, it becomes even more difficult for harmful bacteria to survive. Proponents of raw milk cheese argue that if a cheese is made well in a clean environment with high-quality milk, the risk is minimal, even for young cheeses. They believe the FDA's one-size-fits-all rule punishes all cheesemakers for the mistakes of a few and stifles innovation. They advocate for a system more like Europe's, which focuses on rigorous testing and certification of the production process itself, rather than just a blanket aging requirement. This would allow skilled American artisans to create their own versions of fresh, raw milk cheeses, fostering a richer and more diverse domestic cheese culture. It's a debate that touches on deeper questions about how we manage risk in our lives. We accept risks every day for things we enjoy, from driving cars to eating raw oysters, and the cheese lovers argue that informed adults should be able to make the choice to consume these traditional products. So, the next time you're at a grocery store, looking at the cheese section, I want you to remember that what you see is just a part of the story. Behind the familiar blocks of cheddar and rounds of Gouda lies a hidden world of flavor, tradition, and controversy. Those innocent-looking wedges of brie are actually a compromise, a legal version of a much more profound original. The story of illegal cheese is about more than just food. It's about how societies balance safety and freedom, how regulations can shape culture, and how the pursuit of absolute zero risk can sometimes mean sacrificing something beautiful, complex, and delicious. It's a reminder that the food on our plates has a deep history, and sometimes that history is full of drama, debate, and a little bit of rebellion. So here's to the cheesemakers, the rule breakers, and the flavor seekers. May your palates be ever curious.